I'm Viroshen Chetty, the co-founder and CEO of Mindblown League.
I'm Nireshnee Chetty. I'm the co-founder and COO of Mindblown League.
So together we have created playable learning platforms, which helps young people learn in a way that is more accessible, more easier, more sociable. And we take difficult subjects like STEM, science, technology, engineering and maths, and climate change, things which are a little bit abstract, a little bit hard to understand, and using our playable learning systems, learners are able to engage with it in a way that feels more sociable, more memorable, more alive, and we find that it actually improves critical thinking, especially in the times we are living in, where we are living in an attention economy, and young people are constantly bombarded with different forms of media, with entertainment and so on, that they find normal education a little bit boring, a little bit flat. Using games as a medium is one way, as a Trojan horse almost, to make the learning more enjoyable, more fun.
It's about meeting learners where they're already at, and they're already playing games. So we may as well make the learning a game so that they better understand it.
When we started off, we wanted to find out from young people what's the best form of learning, because we didn't start off with the idea that we wanted to do games. We started off with the idea that we wanted to help young people to perform better in STEM, because when we started this project in 2015, 4IR was on everyone's lips. The fourth industrial revolution was coming. How can we prepare young people for the world of the future? And we realized that science and maths were subjects that our young people in South Africa actually battle with.
Yeah, and it was also that we had such a high unemployment rate, and the jobs of the future were supposed to be in science and maths. And jobs weren't even created yet, but the young people were being prepped for a world and for jobs that would soon be obsolete. So we wanted to know, how can we better prepare these young people for this future world that they're entering?
And there was also a drop-off. There was a large number of young people that were dropping off in grade 8, grade 9 and 10. And so we asked ourselves the question, how can we help teachers to make education more enjoyable for learners, and how can we improve in that way? So we did a pilot project, starting from the ground up, where we went to schools and we asked thousands of young people, tell us, we come from a communication and media background, tell us, how can we help you?
So our first idea was, we went in thinking we're going to have to make a science magazine, or we're going to create something around printed material and books and stories, etc.
Yeah, and so they said to us, no, don't do that. We don't like reading. And so we said, okay, what do you like to do? And they said, we like to play games. So that was really the light bulb moment, where we said, okay, why don't we use the medium that young people are actually comfortable in? And this is the 21st century, and if games is the medium that they love, why don't we use games as a platform to make learning more enjoyable?
The other way that the innovation benefits society is that we want people to be more curious and to start seeing the wonders of the world around them, and to start taking responsibility for creating action in their own world. So especially with young people, sometimes they think that it's up to an adult to be the change maker. But through our games, and especially with our climate games, it's about getting young people into climate action so that they see that they can actually make a difference in their immediate home, school, community, etc. And they don't have to wait for an adult to create the solution for them.
How can young people apply their minds, ask more questions, become more curious? How can we spark that critical component of thinking in young people and get them to sort of engage more with problems and to come up with solutions, even if those solutions are out of the box and left field? And which is why actually is where the actual name Mindblown came from. Because Mindblown actually, what we looked at is, we said, we're living in a world where our minds, from the time we are born, we are, I wouldn't go so far as to say conditioned, but we are sort of, especially the schooling system, the home system, the religious structures that we grow up on, we are led into accepting and adopting certain paradigms and certain prejudices and certain understandings and operation frameworks of the world in order to really learn and see the world anew, you got to break those, you got to explode those paradigms. And in exploding those paradigms, you are creating a neural shift. You're creating a brain that's fresh again. And so mind blown literally meant to say, blow apart your paradigms, blow apart your prejudices and look at something. An example is that we've had in one of our earlier games, we had over 1001 mind-blowing facts. These are facts that are true, that are in science, that are facts that make a child go, wow, is that true? Wow, that blew my mind, you know? So we find that when a child says, wow, that blew my mind, then we know that some learning has taken place. There's something has awakened in them.
So how we've actually funded this innovation is that we're very fortunate. We actually have been supported by Technology Innovation Agency. We've received 2 rounds of grant funding from them. And we've also got grant funding from the SAB Foundation when we were winners of a SEED award.
We've just had so much of goodwill and so much people come and said, we would you, we're supporting you and so on. And then also we managed to win a few awards, as Nireshnee has mentioned. We also run a media and communication company, so we were able to diversify our revenue streams and help to bootstrap our project. There were challenges that we faced along the way, obviously, in a journey like this. The obvious challenge was around the fact that it was very difficult in some of the underserved areas for learners to access the digital version of our game. They didn't have access to internet, they did not have the equipment to actually play the mobile games. Then we also found that when we moved to a more hybrid model, that it required more time in the schools, and the challenges that we found there was that schools are structured in such a way that lessons have to be taught at a certain time, and there wasn't enough time in schools to introduce new platforms of learning for
and I think
learners.
it's also that, especially when we went in at the beginning, 4IR was such a new concept. A lot of people didn't understand what we were talking about or why it was so urgent to get young people more interested in science and to look at critical thinking as like an absolute necessary skill. So part of the challenges was also getting the greater education ecosystem to understand what we were doing. Because the learners, if you go into any school or classroom, or you go into like a public space and we demo the game, the learners loved it, but it was about getting people to understand the bigger picture around how games could be used as a tool to get people to understand these complex topics.
The other challenges that we faced was the challenge around how do we take a game that people play for fun and put a learning element on top of it and still make it fun, because education games can be dull, and games that require a lot of energy and activity, and so you don't want the learning.
That was actually a big challenge, because we would play test. We've play tested, I don't know how many hundreds of versions of a game, and you play test for the game mechanics, and then you've also got to play test then to bring in the learning element. And so, for example, if you're taking like a grade 10 chemical change topic in a syllabus, how do you now bring that into this game mechanic that you have created to make it fun and keep the fun aspect, but keep the learning as well? So that really is a challenge. I'd say the advice that I would give to other innovators is don't be afraid of iteration. You may think you have a product and it's brilliant and it's perfect, and then you take it out to market, and actually the audience's reaction is not what you expected. So, listen to your audience and actually go back to the drawing board and tweak a few things and take it back and try it again and go back and tweak, and then you'll find that when you do that, it actually does become a better product. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can visit our website. It's www.mindblownleague.com. It's the same handle on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn at mindblownleague. And if you want to get a hold of us, it's Nireshnee at mindblownleague.com or Viroshen at mindblownleague.com. And if you want to WhatsApp us, fantastic. We always respond. It's 078 593 0585.
I would like to wrap up by, first of all, thanking Innovate Durban for this opportunity to share our story. I'd also like to thank the Technology Innovation Agency, TIA, for always having our back, for giving us the bandwidth and the support and the grant fund to reach out to areas like Ammersdale and the underserved schools.